everyone, it's Dom Fenton and welcome back to the Power of a Hobby. It's our third episode and I am delighted to have with us Chris Dawes. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Hello, good morning. I'm very well, thank you. I'm excited. I'm not going to lie. I've been really excited about this. I get to talk about my hobby. The struggle is real. The struggle is real. What do you want to know? I'll tell you everything. We're off.
Oh, I love this. And this is part of the reason I wanted to get you on this show, because I know how passionate you are. And actually, I think the amount of golden nuggets and everything else that we'll pick up on this for people will be amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. It's what I'm known for. It's been quite an interesting journey. I'll use the J word. It's been an interesting journey with my hobby because, I'm when people think of Star Wars, I don't mean that in a Chris Dawes. Only think of that. And I get tagged in stuff every few days, at best. Usually daily, I get tagged about something Star Wars related. Here it is. So the last one was someone's had the staircase done and they've got the opening crawl of Star Wars on it. So I've had that 3 times so far. Genuinely, I've had that 3 times so far, which is lovely that I'm thought of. So I'm all for sharing about my hobby and my passions and putting it out there and just being who you are. And that's why I'm really delighted to be here, because I know the importance of it and what you're trying to get across. So I doff my cap to you, I really do.
Fabulous. And I think it's crazy because actually I heard you on another podcast recently.
Right.
Shout out to Mr. Newton.
Right.
I dock my hat to him. And actually, it was a case of the way I heard that podcast, it was almost trying to not talk about your hobby and not talk about how that related to it. And now I just sat there and listened to it going, this is amazing, because actually what I'm now doing is giving you the opportunity for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to talk about it.
It's an interesting one because I'm so known for it. Right? I've got, and I embrace it and I share it. But what's amazing, what's happened with my hobby is that it's actually turned into part of my business life. So I will do business talks based on Star Wars, and my model builder, crazy. Like, I've done keynotes about 5 Star Wars model lessons for business. I've done keynotes about my model, which blows my mind. Like, oh my God, what is happening? Is the world like fell off its axis or whatever? But that's what's happened. But that is a lovely thing. But at the same time, the power of a hobby, and where it's very important that people understand, a hobby is for you, and it's something quite personal. So I don't build these things for other people. It's something that's very private and very real for me. So I'm not really interested in people's thoughts on what I've made, and great that they like it, but the primary driver is for me, for my relaxation, for my mindset, and for me to just have something that's private. Because I've got my business is out there, and all our lives are on social media and all that stuff. But my model building and my hobby is just for me, and I want to keep it that way. And I think that's a really important thing for anybody in any sort of hobby, that understand it's for you. So what I like doing, the next person wouldn't like doing. So my missus does jigsaws, right? Hats off, like 1,000-piece jigsaws, right? I can't think of anything worse. But for her, it's a lovely thing that she's doing. She's just totally relaxed, chilling out, got it around the kitchen table. She's having a great time with it, and it's fantastic.
And I think we've briefly touched on that. I like to ask people what they think the power of a hobby is.
Yeah,
and the part of the reason that the whole podcast is called that is because, to me, there is that power in having a hobby. So, and I just think it's one of those situations that I would really struggle without a hobby, whatever that is. So you've touched on it briefly there. So what does a power of a hobby really mean to you, really underneath all of it?
So I can 100% say that if I'm not taking the time out for my hobby and my interests, so it's predominantly the weekends, or I'll do a few hours through the week, everything starts to slide. All right, it's very, very noticeable. And what slides is my mindset. So I'm not as focused. I'm not as relaxed. So it does affect my work. It does affect my family life if I'm not taking that time out and doing something personal. That's just for me. You know, I've shared it on other platforms. I've no problem sharing it whatsoever. You know, I historically have suffered from depression and anxiety, which shocked some people when I was really like, yeah, but that is a way of that's a coping mechanism in itself. Because what it does is it switches my brain, so my only focus is not overthinking external elements. All I'm focused on is that model kit that's in front of me. I always remember this from a few years back. It made me laugh at Christmas. I got gifted a Star Destroyer to build, and I'm not joking you, not a word of a lie. I was sat there for 9 hours. And I thought I'd only sat there for an hour or so. And my missus said, you do know it's bedtime now. You do know, because I'm just so absorbed in it, and my only focus is just what's going on there. We all have like incredibly chaotic lives and stuff, but just bringing it down, and that's what a hobby can do. Just bringing it down, all those external elements, so your focus is just pinpointed on one thing, and that focus and that relaxation has a wonderful knock-on effect.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love that, and I just think. This is the reason I do this. This is the reason that I've wanted to launch this podcast. And for people who've heard the first 2 episodes, actually a hobby can be anything. It can be anything, and it's about that. If you've already touched on it, it's about that individual person. So, Chris, there's been snippets of people. I reckon people might have worked out just about what you do.
People don't know. People don't know.
I know. There may be some people who listen to this who don't know. So, in plain English, Chris, what is your hobby?
Right. So my hobby. So I'm known for Star Wars, but my hobby and my passion is actually sort of niching down, and I'm a model builder is what I am. So I build models. So Star Wars models. So here's one I prepared earlier. Do you like that?
I love that. There are other programs.
So there's a piece that I've created. So that's probably took me about, 30, 40 hours or something to make that. And then, I've got various pieces. So, there's my little Millennium Falcon and stuff. So that's probably about 20, 30 hours as well. So I just love it. I'm a maker of things, and then I've got bigger things, like I've got weapon props. So that's a Stormtrooper rifle that I've made. I just love making things. I've always got right. How do I make that? How do I do that? It's something that I enjoy about my hobby. It's not just the making of it. I actually enjoy the research and the joy actually is in the making, and it's not, the end product is kind of irrelevant, believe it or not, with this hobby. But the process is where the enjoyment comes on, and the learning. So I've got in my office, which is not a Star Wars museum, it is an office. So I've got about 90 pieces in here now of models and props and all that. And I get enjoyment from not looking and going, oh, isn't that nice? But actually seeing what I've learned. If people won't notice this, but I look at it and say, yeah, look at how far you've come in the process of, you've learned to paint a little bit better. You've learned to weather things a lot more. And so I can sort of see a journey of my hobby from where I've started to where I am now, which, I'm okay at it now. And I use my hobby to really reward myself in my life, and when I'm after a treat for doing well in my business life or just in general, and I fancy something, it's predominantly a Star Wars related thing. So something that's huge and very, very personal to me is, and it goes deeper in, I guess, why I started my hobby was I've got this. So this is a 172 perfect grade Millennium Falcon. So that's like sort of the crown jewel of my collection, if you will. It's something that I never thought I could possibly have in my life. and make, and I've done it. It's incredible. It's a symbol of what's possible. So my entrance is behind me, where I'm sat now. The minute I step into my office, I see the Millennium Falcon every single day, because it means that, do you know what? You can do it. Anything's possible. I started from not knowing, with empty boxes of, this is a model kit. This is, how do you do it? For nothing, no skills whatsoever, until fast forward, 6 or 7 years. Well, mate, you've got a perfect grade, like perfect standard Millennium Falcon here. You've taught yourself. I've learned by just going on Facebook groups, YouTube channels, right, and just sitting, being a total nerd, looking at the instruction books. Can I do this? Yes, I can. And here we are.
Incredible. And I just think, I love watching you when you're talking, because you start glowing. It's like anything. I think when you have that passion, and when it's something that just brings joy, in whatever form, people start to glow.
Yeah, Dan Sadler's podcast, which was excellent, by the way. I really, really enjoyed it. I remember when you talked about when you're going back to a kid, and do you know what? That's it. It's so that, that Millennium Falcon, one of the reasons it was special, and I was thinking of this prior to the recording of this episode. Do you know what, Chris? Where's the model thing actually? Why specifically isn't it the model building? And I remember as a kid, in my hometown, we used to go to a town as a group of mates, as most kids did. You got a couple of quid, but you go around every single toy shop and shop, and you look at stuff. You have no intention of buying it because you can't buy it, right? You can't, can you? You're never going to be able to afford it. But you look at it and you look at the boxes and all that and go, isn't that great? And then you put it back on the shelf. And I remember there was a place in my hometown, Barrow-in-Furness, called Heath's, and they had a toy master above it. And you used to go up there, and there was a model section right at the back, and it was just full. And I used to stare at it because it had all the Return of the Jedi stuff in there that was out at the moment, all the model kits. And I used to just marvel at it, and I'd never be able to afford it or have the skill to do it. And it was just something that wasn't possible. And I think that's what it is. And I spent a lot of time with my granddad as a child at weekends, and he was always making stuff. He did model railway and all that. So it's all sort of very, very sort of interconnected. And then I've got my earliest memories in my life is of Star Wars. Genuinely, it's like far back. It's I've actually got the annual. Return of the Jedi original annual, because that is my first memory. Is actually sat. My mum had a cleaning job, and she had to take me on the cleaning job, and she'd photocopy the pages of the Return of the Jedi annual while she was cleaning, and I'd nick the highlighters off the desk and colour them in, right? And it's me sat on the stairs colouring in with the highlighters, the Return of Jedi. So it's all very interconnected. So that childhood thing and rekindling those moments, and that really going back there, it's very, very, very real and very connected. And what is a little bonus joy that I've got, a lot of people don't know, and I don't, there's no need to say it. What's really lovely is that with a lot of these kits that well, if you're on video, you can see in the background, a lot of the parts are actually, so my granddad's passed away now, but a lot of his sort of leftovers from him stuff, like all the bases and the grass and all that sort of, it's actually from his stuff. So there's actually a history there in what you can see. And that's just, I don't mind sharing it, but that's kind of just for me. And it's something that's very real when I'm making it and going, this is quite special.
Yeah. And I just think it's, as you said about, with Dan's podcast and with everything else, I do think there is this connection. And I do think it's interesting looking back and why we start things and how we get into them. And I talk very openly about the fact that I think a coach that I used to have called Johnny Baker, who asked me to play rugby at 5 years old, potentially saved my life now. And right. I honestly look back and go, actually, that moment could have been that time. Yeah. Because of other stuff that goes on. Actually, hobbies no matter what happens in our life, I personally believe that hobbies are generally one of the most consistent things you have.
Yeah.
Because whether it's you go through trauma, whether you go through breakups, actually the one thing that people can't really take from you, because it is personal to you, is your hobby.
Yeah, it's part of your DNA, isn't it? It's and because you are an individual, you've had individual external influences. Therefore, your hobby is going to be individual to you, and it's just choosing whether to embrace that and understand that or not. It's those people that don't find a hobby. I think, what are you doing? I'm too busy. Too busy. Really? You're too busy because you haven't got a hobby, ironically, is the bigger picture of it. What I'm doing with my hobby is very high up on my priority list, very high up on my, of what's on my to-dos, because I understand the power of it and the importance of it and the pleasure of it.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more on that. So you touched briefly on it. So obviously, Star Wars went back to you being a child,
mm-hmm.
and that connection. But you talk about then your modelling only 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Where was that?
Yeah, so I remember. Yeah, it's been very therapeutic this time, researching and thinking about it. It's been very deep. Honestly, doing my research on this, having a good think about it. And I remember when I started my business up. So I was just had a desk in one of the rooms in the house, and I just had one shelf. Right, there was one shelf to put folders on it. How boring to have folders on it, right? So what I actually did was, I remember the specific moment, doing the Asda Friday big shop as we all do, before lockdown. I remember getting do some Star Wars toys. There was Luke Skywalker Black Series figure. So we're not going to call them kids' toys, Dom, because they're not, right?
Not at all.
Big boys' toys, right? So I just shoved it in the trolley. Thought, do you know what? I'm having that above my desk because I love Luke Skywalker. He's my hero. I'm having that above my desk. So I started that, and then all of a sudden, there was ones being thrown in every single week, or I'd be ordering one, and all of a sudden I had a dozen of them above my desk, and I just got an enjoyment in collecting it, and then I just came across it on I think it was on a Facebook group that was in these Bandai model kits that were being released, and people were saying how good they are. And the minute I saw it was a snow speeder, saw the picture of it, and it just took me right back. I thought, do you know what, I'm buying one. And I bought one, and I've just not stopped since. That's it. I'm done. So the figures have gone. They're in a box under my desk. Actually, there's loads of them, and they've kind of gone way into the background, and it's just all about the making and the process of making the stuff.
This is one of those conversations that you could go so deep.
Yeah.
But then, as I say, that's a hobby. That is where it affects you, and I think actually, what's your next thing? What's your next model that you want to make?
So the big one, mate. The one that I seriously, look, honestly.
Here we go.
Mate. So I've got to wait. This is the thing with model building. The biggest lesson it teaches you, above all else. And I'm predominantly, the irony that I do this for a hobby is patience. It's the biggest lesson you get, because if you're not patient with model building, you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed, mate. But another way I've got to be patient is waiting for release dates for kits. So there still isn't out there a proper model kit for the Razor Crest from The Mandalorian. And that is honestly, woo! So I'm proper excited. So that's October. That is out October. So the minute that came with release, it was take my money here. How much is it? The price was irrelevant. Take the cash. So that's going to be it, and I can't wait to have that in my cabinet. So I'm just. It's a funny thing as more you get skilled in this hobby, ironically, the less models you build, because you get you're more appreciative of the process and you put more detail work into it, etc., etc. So my speed of getting through model kits is highly reduced now compared to what it was, and I'll take my time a little bit more and put more effort into it than what I have done previously. So it's like I said, it's always interesting for me to sort of line up. Like I've got 6 or 7 X-wings up there. Like I can see my first one right up to my 7th one, leagues apart. It's a duffer.
Oh, I love it, and this is brilliant because there are release dates and there are these sort of things. You just have to wait.
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about it. You've just got to accept it. I mean, I actually get these kits. So these kits are actually really hard to get hold of in the UK. There's very few distributors who actually do them. So I actually get them from Japan. I get them shipped in. So I've got a man in Japan who goes to a shop and gets them for me and posts them over. So I have to wait for him to be, go on a big cargo freighter and come up. Get over here. So I have to wait about 2 weeks minimum, even when I bought one for it to arrive. But that's part of the excitement as well. Going back to being a kid, it's like waiting for Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah. I like. Yeah.
I honestly, and I love it. I love the artwork on the boxes. I love everything about it, and my wife will look at me and she'll go, "What is this guy doing?" I've actually got like the sprues. So the sprues are the pieces of plastic that have all the parts on, and I'll be spending hours just looking at like this bit of plastic. Look at the detail on that. Look at the detail on that. And Lindsay, my miss, is just like, what, I married him. What is going?
And the thing is, I just think this is so part of who you are.
Yeah, an amazing thing as well is that Lindsay understands the importance of it. So Lindsay embraces it and understands that, do you know what, this actually is important to Chris. Yeah. And this is what brings him happiness and the bigger impact that it has. That, God forbid you now take it away from him. Because we're in trouble. We're in trouble if it goes away. So it's always going to be part of my life. What a build might change. I'm looking to do more stuff like this. It's my 40th very soon, so this is a plug for Lindsay when she's listening.
We'll make sure she listens to it.
Exactly. So I'm expecting something really, really special. So one day in the future, I'm not saying for my 40th, Lindsay, stay calm. So I'm actually gonna build one day a full-size R2D2. That is definitely going to happen. I have no idea where it's going to go, but that's irrelevant. It's going to get done.
Are they out there? Are they out?
Oh, done all mate. I've done all my research. I've got the parts list. I know all the electronic suppliers. I know the paint job. I know the exact shade of blue that it needs, and all the. Honestly, the research, mate, is so exciting. The exciting part. I love it.
I can imagine you doing the seeing how you are now. I can imagine you doing the and just going, hang on.
This is the hobby. This is how nerdy it is, right? There's just been a company called Archive X have just released a range of paint that perfectly matches the Millennium Falcon's colour scheme, right? This in the model world is as big as it gets. Trust me, mate. This is huge news. This is huge news. We've had to settle for stuff that wasn't exactly the right shade of what it was in the movies. So now, it means being honest, and this is for Lindsay to listen to as well. It means I've got to do another Millennium Falcon, Lindsay. I do apologise.
You've heard it here first.
Exactly. And it's amazing. And like the Facebook groups that a lot of hobby, absolutely vicious. Star Wars hobby groups are absolutely vicious, mate. It's a funny part of our hobby because it's so they're just nutters. They're just nutters that they're like striving for, perfection and showing work and I'd have done this on it, I'd have done that. But that's people predominantly who don't understand what a hobby is truly about anyway, is it?
Yeah.
It's not for you. It's for me, plonker.
Yeah.
And it's all that. I mean, I could do loads of other stuff, like bases and not as in Starship bases, as in model bases that the model sits on. Loads more work and stuff like that. But I just stop when I'm ready to stop, and that's a business lesson in itself and life lesson. Knowing when to stop in this hobby is massively, massively important. And that's something that I've kind of carried through as well in my life and biz.
Nice. Final question. And see, I'd tell you this is just a conversation. It's just a conversation.
Love it.
So, if someone came to you and went, I don't have a hobby, what would you say to them? How would you help them find?
Yeah, I would go back to, what did you enjoy doing as a kid? Would probably be my first question. What stuff do you really love doing as a kid? Anything you were particularly interested in? And then see if there's anything based around there. I wouldn't ask anything about time, how much time you've got. I'd say, what do you enjoy doing? Are you a maker of things? Or, what do you like painting? What did you enjoy in your classes in school? Did you enjoy doing painting in school? Did you not? Those sort of questions, and take it from there.
I just think it's amazing that actually when people do, because I have that, you imagine now doing this podcast and now with the Facebook group and everything else, people go, I just haven't got a hobby. And I was just like, you do, but you probably just don't realise it.
Yeah, and that's it. They don't connect the dots. But, well, if you're taking the time out to do something just for you that you enjoy, it's called a hobby. And so your hobby could be reading. People don't necessarily associate reading is a hobby. It's something that you can do. But it's been quite a lovely time. Ironically, for hobbies and interests like this during lockdown, because I think there's been a reconnection with these things that there hasn't been there before. So I've had a bit more time to think about these things, and my wife for sure has done more jigsaws than what she's done. Board games are more popular than they've ever been, and jigsaws. Literally, they sold out. Going back to what my missus went, you couldn't get hold of them because everyone was starting to get in it. And that is, hopefully, we can take positives out of the current situation that people will remember that self-care that a hobby can give and push it through once all this is over.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think actually, if there are positives that have come out of it, it is that. And that's the reason that, I launched this, because I said that 2021 is going to be the year that we just try it. At the moment, my hobby is getting ready for a skydive in 2 months and doing stuff for charity and things like that. And actually, it makes me smile when I think about the stuff that we do and other things that I'm involved with. It just makes me smile.
Yeah.
And actually, from a mental health point of view, that's all I want to do. I want to be able to smile and look back and go, you know what, I did that.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it and it worked.
Absolutely.
Chris, it's been a brilliant conversation, because that's all it's been.
Loved it.
Where can people find you? Whether it's a business, where can people find you if they want to know more about you?
Yeah. Just check my Facebook feed, obviously, and then I'm on all social medias at Scruffy Monkey DM, and my work website is www.scruffymonkey.co.uk. I'm always sharing my hobby stuff online. You will look at it. You will look at what I've made. I'm always sharing what I'm up to at it. And thank you so much for listening and the opportunity to come on.
Chris, it's been amazing. Everyone, this will be going on YouTube as well. So when Chris was talking about some of the things that he's made, as he gets one up now, there you go. Yep. If you don't, he's going to try and shoot you with his model. There you go.
There you go. I'll get my lightsaber out on you, right? Not a euphemism.
Chris, thanks very much. Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
everybody for listening and also for watching the YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time. Take care.